Welcome, Solara here. I hope you guys are doing well today. I'm going to do a quick reading. I'm going to give you a little bit of information surrounding some downloads I've been receiving today. I thank all of you for getting back to me last night in the download video I did about your preference. The majority of you were saying that you didn't care either way, just do what's best for me. Some of you were saying you prefer longer, some of you said a mix, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's good to have that feedback though, and to know. I will try to mix things up a little bit, provided I have the energy to do so, okay? So, as such, I decided to come on here, instead of waiting until tomorrow for more downloads to accumulate, I decided to come on here tonight and share. I think this is an important download also because we are coming up to the full moon in less than 24 hours in Leo. And I think that these downloads have a lot to do with that. So I've been asking my guides because this Leo energy, it's very much about, the fifth house. It's about your inner child. But Leo energy is also masculine energy. And I've been feeling a lot of the Cancerian energy left over from last month's full moon, making its way, like underpinning the energies, like kind of merging with the energies to take us forward, towards the end of the astrological year. I was feeling that very strong divine mother feminine energy of the full moon in Cancer, and I'm feeling the child energy of the full moon in Leo, and I'm just like aware of what's going on with the masculine energy. And what my guides, and also, sorry, the 16-degree mark that this is happening at tomorrow. 16 degrees in Aquarius, the sun in Aquarius at 16 degrees, and the moon at 16 degrees in Leo it's a Cancer degree. Okay, so we still have that Cancer energy running through, which I find to be fascinating, okay? Yes. Oh, quick housekeeping thing. Those of you who have ordered the full moon in Leo report, I have sent it to you. There's just a few more hours. I don't know when I'm going to post this, but I said I would continue to make it available until about midnight Eastern Standard Time. So that's in about 5 hours my time, okay? It's now that I've actually put it together in a PDF, it's actually about 5 pages. So it's a 5-page report. One of the pages is there in the community board. It's a few posts down. You can check it out. Suggested donation is £4.44. But yes, if you want to get that report, then please make sure to hurry up and get on that, and I will get it to you, okay? The report looks at the energies surrounding this full moon, but not only the specific energies of this time, but what's underpinning this, the reason why we're coming to this point and what it means moving forward, as well as a little bit of ritual idea, okay? Ritual ideas for this energy. But back to this trying to figure out, with my guides, this masculine, I was asking them what's going on, because for me, I know Leo is masculine energy. It's the sun, right? It's masculine energy. But when I think of the predominant masculine energies in the zodiac, I always think Aries first and Capricorn second, even though some people would argue that Capricorn is actually feminine energy, which is all the more reason why I tend to think of Aries, really, when I think of masculine energy. 0033 on my clock. So what they began to show me was that this, and this might not be Leo energy in general, but this is what this full moon is working to do, okay? This full moon is helping us to release a lot of the deep-rooted matrilineal patterns and even matrilineal entities that have attached to us because of these karmic patterns. Okay, but the real focus is on our masculine energy, and an even bigger focus right now is on the male population. So this full moon in Leo, if your heart as a man is open, what it really wants to deal with the men of our time, what it really wants to do is help you heal and release all of the toxicity that has been gleaned as a result of any form of toxic interactions or interplay with your mother. Okay, and this is irregardless as to whether you consider your mother to be a karmic mother or whether you actually believed your mother to be like a soulmate. Like for me, my children are like my guides in physical form. So they're my soulmates. And yet there are still things we're constantly dealing with, we're constantly talking about, we're constantly clearing, because we clearly came to work together and to help one another, but it doesn't mean that we didn't have karma from other lifetimes that we had to get over also. It just means that we were dedicated to doing that together, okay? So no matter whether you believe you had a very healthy relationship with your mother or not, or you're dealing with men who believe they had a very healthy relationship with their mother or not, it doesn't really matter, because there are still energies that just by being a part of the old world were underpinning the way we were mothered, and therefore the limitations our mothers had within that system, okay? I want to talk about this because there's a lot of men who harbor a lot of hatred towards their mothers, and they're not aware of it. They're not aware of it, and this is a really important thing. And I get that some people might not want to go down this road, and it's okay if you don't. You can switch off. This is a sensitive topic, but I believe that people who are divine are divine because they choose to heal. Okay, that's my belief on it. So we go into the dark in order to illuminate it so that we can be enlightened and we can be free. And it doesn't matter how dark it feels, okay? So this is a message for any of the men that are watching, but it's also a message for those of you who are dealing with, men in your life, whether it's divine partners or whether it's even to do with your own issues with your own father. This isn't an attack against men or an attack against mothers. It's not that at all. This is all about releasing the wounds that, yes, some mothers, karmically tried to destroy their children, even if it was a subconscious thing. But there were some mothers who could only do the best they could, right? But what I've seen on my own journey is that oftentimes the mothers who have done the best that they can do, the sons in those instances often have a difficult time admitting where they have issues, or even where they have deep-seated hatred towards sometimes a mother, and sometimes towards the decisions that mother had to make, the tough decisions she had to make. And I say that also as a mother myself. This is somewhere I have to constantly go back to with my children too, because here's the thing. Parents are not perfect, right? We will mess up our children. We live in a messed up, fallen world. We will mess up our children. We're not here to be perfect, but we are here to be real. And sometimes we do things to children and it's not our heart to hurt them, but they're hurt. And because a lot of the time we haven't lived in a society that's conducive to children being able to articulate their truth, they hold on to that energy. And you think you've forgotten and it's buried, but that energy will build over time, and it can become a seed of hate that most people don't actually want to deal with or see or even acknowledge, let alone admit. And this is what this full moon in Leo is wanting to unearth in all of us, okay? It wants to unearth it not only in men, but in women too. It wants to unearth it in women in the sense of what are those rooted energies that keep us from embracing men, but also embracing our own masculine energy and ability to move forward without putting our wounding on men. Because that's another thing. You get what I'm saying? Like, a lot of women put their wounding on men because of their own issues with lack of connection with their own inner masculine. But my guides were spotlighting this mother-son relationship today. And when I asked them why, they said to me, well, because when you look at energetics, everything has its opposite pole of the same energy. And masculine and feminine energy are the opposite poles, you could say, of the same energy. In other words, we are the same. It's just a different expression, right? Hence the reason why we have both. It's expressed differently when we break it down and it becomes gender, yes, but when we're just dealing with energy, it's the same energy being expressed on different poles. That's how they were explaining it to me. But because like masculine energy needs feminine energy in order to have balance, right? We see that in how men and women interrelate, regardless of sexuality, right? But we see it really highlighted in the father-daughter dynamic and the mother-son dynamic. And because we're dealing with masculine energy right now, and we're dealing with the energy of the mother because of the Cancer, this is an area that we are being asked to take a look at. And if this reading isn't for you, then it's like it's here to help you like understand and overstand something to do with a man in your life, whether again that's a father, husband, brother, you know, whoever, a divine partner. It's really important because there's something about this here that is helping to release us all. This isn't an energy that's just about men. This is an energy that contributes to the greater collective, if that makes sense. Now, when I was having this conversation with my guides, I was out and about with my kids, and I was on the bus, and I was listening to another reader, and you know, it was on YouTube, and then these ads kept coming on, and I skip ads a lot of the time. Sometimes I'll play them in order just to support the reader that I'm watching, but sometimes I'll skip through them if it's like a point in the reading where I'm like wanting to, I don't want to lose the momentum of the reading. But today I just decided, let me play the ads, and there was a song that started playing, and I don't know the song, I've never heard it from anywhere. I don't know it, but I do know that the lyrics were talking about somebody who wasn't listening. And the lyrics of the song were something along the lines of, I want to be able to speak to you. I want to be able to say these things to you, but it's like, I can't. It's almost like there's a breakdown of communication, and not because this person or these people aren't communicating. It's like there's a barrier there. And Spirit started to show me this is what is coming down. This is what has to come down now. There's a very real energy around this full moon in Leo when we take it, you know, like when we zoom out of this energy of the mother and the son, the clearing around that energy. There's a very real macro look or energy, like we're being called to look at a macro picture of the energy, in the sense of there's a reclaiming of our childhood innocence. And there's not only a reclaiming of our childhood innocence, there is a reclaiming of collective childhood innocence. I've said this before. The Matrix, the old world, whatever you want to call it, it survived. It thrived off of our childhood wounds, right? It thrived off of our childhood wounds. All of its systems, including family, were designed to perpetuate certain cycles of trauma and dysfunction and discord in order to create fragmented adults who would then go forward and make really fucked up decisions from the standpoint of childhood wounding. Everything is about the exploitation of childhood wounds. I was watching with my kids last night. I was watching Aladdin again, not the cartoon. I watched the cartoon with them on Thursday, but my son, bless his heart, like when he's on to something, when he starts to see something and he really likes it, he's like me. He likes to go in and find and explore and find other versions. And so we watched the one with the live animated version with Will Smith as Genie. So we watched that last night, and I found it very interesting, you know, looking into the character of Jafar. Because Jafar in this particular Aladdin, he kept on having this issue with being second. Like he had to be Sultan, because as the Sultan's vizier, I think is how it's pronounced, he was second to Sultan. He had this like this fixation with not being second. And when I looked at Jafar, I was just like, wow, someone told him in childhood that there was something wrong with not being first, and somebody made this a really important 0044 my clock, a really important narrative that he never let go of, and it consumed him to the point that it actually destroyed him. Because in the end of this Aladdin, The way Aladdin got him was he told him he'd be second to the power of the genie. Right? This doesn't happen in the actual cartoon, but I found it very interesting, that energy of the second. You'll be second, and that narrative that kept on playing in his mind and dictated every choice he made, whether it meant that he sacrificed himself or others. It didn't matter to what degree he sacrificed his own humanity and therefore divinity and the humanity of others. It didn't matter, for as long as he could get over this idea of being second, and he did in the end, and it trapped him in the lamp, right? But that was such a perfect example of like the exploitation of a childhood wound, and how it can be used to drive a person to make decisions their whole life. Okay, and this is what you see. So many people's pursuit of success and power is based upon the inadequacies or their perceived inadequacies that have happened because of childhood conditioning, whether it's in the home or in school or society. That's what drives people to want to go to choose certain professions and to want to make certain amounts of money and drive certain cars and look certain ways, and it's all rooted in childhood wounding. And as such, there's no commercialism, there's no capitalism, there's no consumerism unless people are constantly trapped in cycles of self-hate that cause them to then betray self. So everything, this whole false mother system that we call the Matrix or the old world, was based upon a system whereby in order to get forward, you had to either be a wounded child. It's both ways. You had to be a wounded child, and you had to enact that energy onto others. You had to exploit other people's woundedness, which was seeded in childhood, in order to get things from them. Okay? This full moon in Leo is really about dismantling all of that. But it's also going back into the micro energy of it that my guides were speaking to me about today. For many of the masculine for many of the men, right? For many of the men, let's keep it there. I don't want to get it too confusing. For many men, this is a beautiful opportunity to heal from the root energies that have come through your mother's line, matrilineal line. Because remember, I said yesterday in the reading that your emotional reality is inherited through your mother. Your emotional body, your ability to, process your emotions. It's not even it's not a conditioning. It becomes a conditioning later on, right? How you grow up within the context of relating to your mother or your father or your siblings in school, it then becomes an issue of conditioning. But in terms of the formation, the foundation of your emotional body and your emotional reality, it's formed in the womb, and it's based upon what is in your mother's emotional field at the time of conception. Even the quality of her eggs is important, and this is where it becomes like emotional energy and trauma can be carried, I think they say scientifically, up to 3 generations matrilineally, because when a girl is born, she's born with all of the eggs she's ever going to have. So it has all of the genetic information that's been formed from her time in her mother's womb. And as such, when that girl grows up and becomes a woman, and if she becomes, a mother to a child, that same information that she got from her mother, that her mother got from her mother, who got it from her mother, is what is unlocked. Okay? So it's really an important time for getting to the root of a lot of our matrilineal trauma. But what my guides were showing me today specifically, and this might be of interest to you guys who are dealing with divine partners who have been very wounded, especially if you've been on this divine I don't like to call it twin flame. I don't like that. It's a program, but let's call it that because it's what people identify with. But this energy of this back and forth that has occurred with men and women on that journey, or the masculine and the feminine energy on that journey. There's a lot of healing around that. The seed point of that energy, which is all about how, and I'm gonna limit it right now to talking about men, but if you are a person who identifies more with masculine energy, then feel free to apply this to yourself. Take it as it resonates. But a lot of the energy that men go forward and display towards other women in their lives, the choices they make concerning women, how they show up in relationships with women, heterosexual men, let me verify that, the way they show up in those relationships is based upon the health and the strength of the relationship they had with their mother. And a lot of men, we find, are not able to communicate their emotions. And that's not, you know, and I'm not saying by any means this is all men. I'm just saying that this is a problem that as a society, this isn't only men's responsibility, this is all of us. We have to take a better look as to why. And a lot of that is to do with all of this, you know, there's so many intricacies involved, but it comes down mainly to the fact that men are told that they're not supposed to express themselves, or they, growing up in that formative relationship they had with their mother, where they learn intimacy and how to communicate and how to be accepted and how to be nurtured in that place. A lot of people in general, but men especially, they don't get to have that. You know, and this is an energy that is wanting to shift because it's so important as we go forward in these new earth relational dynamics that men do the healing, yes, but that we also provide the space in which they feel heard, they feel seen, they feel accepted. Right? And there's something that's very big around this full moon, around this energy of releasing that and making it possible. Another energy that was coming through is this whole, again, this entity energy. A lot of the entities that have come through, it was like the way my guys were showing me is that there are a lot of entities that have come through to attach specifically to men or to masculine energy, and it's come by way of toxic feminine energy, and it's been birthed. Its inception for them is through the relationship or the dynamic they had with their mother. Okay, and for her it may have been, you know, with her mother, and etc., etc. But we have to start to really begin, especially if you are a mother or you are choosing to move forward in divine partnership, in intimate relationships in general, then we have to really begin to start looking at we have to take a deeper look. And this might not apply to you, because you may have already done this. You may have already done the healing, but this is an energy that's coming up right now. And that is that it's time for people, and this could be the wider collective, it's time for people to begin to take a look at the projection of their emotional wounds and the effect it has in terms of passing it down. And I know we talk about it generationally, but we don't really get into the hows and the whys. So for a lot of men, for example, if they have a mother who in a marriage or in a relationship was not properly supported by their significant other, whether in marriage or otherwise, what tends to happen a lot of the time, because these women were not given the resources and some of them just don't want to heal, they take their anger out on the husband, the boyfriend, the father of the child, on the boy. Okay? And even if they don't do that, what a lot of mothers tend to then do is put the responsibility of being the dominant masculine figure in the household on the boy. And this has happened so much throughout time, you know, that it's just become normal. But this is because it's become so cyclical, the energy is really deep. And that energy is really deep, and in its depth, it hides a lot of, well, ancestral entities, predominantly ancestral entities that are coming up now to be released. You see, the energy of the full moon in Cancer was here to release those energies. It was fourth house, ancestry, release a lot of those energies. And the full moon in Leo is now here to illuminate them. So now we can see them. So we can deal with them. We can do the healing we need to do. Because as we move into the full moon in Virgo, that's what it's about. It's about going within and really beginning to delve within ourselves, to take accountability for how these things have shown up in self, in order to completely uproot these energies. This time between the full moon in Leo tomorrow and the full moon in Virgo is really going to be an opportunity for us to begin to deal with it, and for us also to begin to zone in on how it affects our day to day, how we show up every day for ourselves and for others. The Virgo energy, it's the last moon of the zodiac year. The full moon in Virgo, It's the last moon of the zodiac year, oftentimes. Sometimes it will come on the opposite side of new moon in Aries, but it's the last moon of the zodiac year because it is the accompanying moon. No. Sorry, I was right. It's the last moon of the zodiac year. I'm getting confused. It is, because it's in Pisces. And the Virgo energy, and the reason it's the number 9 card in the tarot, the Hermit, is because it's the card about standing alone. It's the card about freedom and liberation. It's about standing in self and recuperating the fullness of your truth and your own energy, so then you can begin to open the door into the 7th house, which is Libra energy, and that begins your journey into partnerships from a state of wholeness. So it's like the next month or so, we might really be being challenged to really face up to a lot of seeing these things on a deeper level within self in order to uproot it completely. Because remember, like I said, the full moon in Cancer came to release those energies. Release them out of us, release them out of the earth, release them to be seen. The full moon in Leo is helping us now to see it, and it's going to continue to illuminate this energy, because by the time the full moon in Virgo comes all the way up until that window in the new moon in Aries, it's all about liberation from those energies. But the liberation comes only through the acknowledgement of what we're seeing, the ownership of it, and then the working out of it. Yes. Where shall we go? I think I'm going to go into the oracles of shadow and light. Death and the Maiden. Invasions, boundaries violated, dominance. So we have this Death and the Maiden energy, 28. So this is the two cards in this deck that really resonate with the energy of death for me, like transformation, scorpionic energy. It's this card, and it's of course that card that is what is it? It's the angel of death, the angel de los muertos. It's that death energy, but this card is very different because this is the energy that it speaks of the end of boundaries being invaded. And what I'm almost getting here is like so much of the distorted feminine energy that was responsible for the matrix system. Because let's not get it twisted. Masculine energy needs feminine energy. They need one another in unity. But in some ways, they also need one another to perpetuate dysfunction. But they need one another to stay in a state of imbalance. So just like we can say the patriarchy created the matrix, the patriarchy is founded upon both distorted masculine and distorted feminine energies. It needs both. It's not a gender thing, it's an energy thing that then manifested in the sense that men acted a certain way that was dysfunctional and toxic and out of balance, but so did women. They both did, right? And so but there's something that has been really the focus. There's been a big focus since the beginning of the year around feminine energy. And when I say feminine energy, I'm talking about the energy, not men and women, like yin energy. There's been a big focus on that, and both sides of it. The incoming and the magnification of the divine feminine energy as shown by way of the divine mother energy rising, right? But also the highlight and the illumination of distorted feminine energies that then is giving way to seeing a lot of fuckery in karmic cycles that have to do specifically with females, karmic mothers specifically, right? It's all doing the same thing because it's the nature of energy. And what I'm getting with this card tonight, because 28 also is it's a 10. So it's the end of a cycle, but 2 in the tarot is the High Priestess energy. And the 8 is the is Strength card. So we have Pisces and Leo energy, 5th and 12th house energy. So again, we have this energy of the exploitation of childish energy, if you want to think about it, because the High Priestess energy has been a great energy that's underpinned the age of Pisces, but it's been the High Priestess in reverse, meaning that a lot of the old magic that oftentimes women were the keepers of, right? A lot of that old magic that has been used against us, okay, in order to create these traps and illusions. It's all been rooted in the dark feminine energy, in her distortion, right? And then we have the Leo energy with that 8, and that 8 energy on its side is also the infinity, so it speaks about the cycles, right? We have that Leo energy of that distorted feminine dark energy feasting upon the woundedness of children. And very interestingly, then there's this whole mythology around Lilith that was created. And very interestingly, Lilith is also in Leo also. So the moon and Lilith are presently in Leo. So there's something very deep that's happening cosmologically and energetically that is assisting us in letting go of the ways that distorted feminine energy and distorted mother energy, karmic mother energy, and not just karmic mother like your mother, like a person. I'm talking about the overall collective energy that fed dysfunctions in the family systems in general that then gave birth to karmic mothers. Because, you know, as much as we can, you know, explore and expose the people for being this way, let's not ever forget that the reason they're like this is because of the effects of these systems and institutions that have enslaved and imprisoned people and caused them to live below their value and to not have the resources to heal up until now. You get what I'm saying? So karmic mothers, we can villainize them, but we also have to realize beyond the villain, there's a person and there's a reason why they ended up the way they ended up, making the choices that they made, right? So there's something here. Very deep clearing of this energy. Very deep clearing of this energy that has hurt mothers so deeply. Or hurt, let's not say mothers, has hurt motherhood so profoundly that it gave rise to this perpetual cycle of wounded child energy that fed and kept the false mother, the matrix energy alive. And that's what I'm getting tonight with the Death and the Maiden card. Let's see what came out. Yeah, they came out in reverse. We have a powerful energy shift. And that's what it feels like, eclipse mermaid, right? Powerful energy shift. Again, number 10. And the 10 is a simultaneous beginning and an end. The 0 point is the void. It's the chaos. It's the womb. That's what the 0 is. That gives birth to the 1. That gives birth to binary, right? And the 1 energy is what is able to move forward out of the womb in formation, right? And so I often say that whenever you have Leo and Moon energy, so right now we have the full moon in Leo happening, there is this kind of eclipse energy. This is why the full moon in Leo always feels very potent. That and also when the full moon in Aquarius in Leo season, because you have very, very strong lunar and solar energies coming to a point of completion. Specifically, well, you have very strong lunar energies coming to the point of completion in the context of solar energy. So you have the full moon happening in Leo tomorrow, and Leo is ruled by the sun. And then when you have the full moon, even though it's in Aquarius, the sun is in Leo. So you have that very strong moon and sun energy working together. And it can feel eclipse-like. And this is what it feels like. And I mentioned it yesterday in passing, but the full moon in Aquarius, when it occurred in Leo season, I began to channel, the moon energy started to speak to me. And I began to channel that energy. And she began to tell me, and I think I've shared this before, Luna began to tell me, she said, all of the ways that my energy has been manipulated in order to keep this alive, I wasn't in agreement with this. I wasn't in agreement with this. And it was almost like we reached a threshold, such a magnanimous shift in that time, that all of the things that have been done in order to manipulate her energy against her and against divine beings, especially, because this is what she was saying to me. She was saying to me that I never meant for like this stuff to happen to divine beings, but it was out of my hands. I had no choice. I had no choice because this was part of your journey too. You had to wake up. Your waking up and freeing yourself is what frees me too. And it's like we reached a threshold on the ascension journey back in August, and when the full moon entered Aquarius in Leo season, this is when I started to get these downloads from the moon. And she said, and now I can release it all. I can release all the records. I can say everything that has been occurring in the dark and how my energy has been manipulated and used. And this is when a lot of that information began to flood the collective consciousness, because it was no longer being held. It was no longer being held. At last she could let it go, if that makes sense. And because the start of that began at the new moon, at the full moon in Aquarius, which was Leo season. Now when we move into the full moon in Leo, it's not a complete cycle, but it's a complete, I don't know how to explain this. It's like there's that 6-month cycle where the new moon in Leo up until the full moon in Leo completes a revolution, a cycle. And right now, it's like we're feeling the culmination of a lot of this stuff. So what the moon has released, now we're releasing. We're releasing it physically. We're releasing it emotionally, if that makes sense. And we have the 3 fates, which is really interesting, what comes around. I'm not going to keep this reading too long tonight, but the 3 fates, this card keeps on coming out. 0110 on my clock. Again, 0110 binary. This moon, I heard someone else say it today, and I love that they said this because it's what I felt, but I didn't put it into words. This is a fated full moon. And when this reader said this today, I was just like, wow, this is why 111 on my clock. This is why this card keeps coming out. And when I broke it down last week, we looked at this, the 3 fates: fate, fortune, destiny, and how it's connected to the wheel of fortune, which again is a 10 energy. It's why it's what the Virgo energy allows us access to. We access the wheel of fortune energy through the Hermit in the tarot. And this moon is fated. This meaning that, and this is what my guides were telling me, this might be one of the biggest moons of 2023, possibly outside of the actual eclipses that are happening when the nodes shift. This might be one of the biggest moons of the year because of what it means for the closing out of this cycle that is not just personal, it's collective. And the huge ass energy shift that is about to come in because of that. It's really like end of the world vibes I'm getting right now. And not like end of the world like they wanted to tell you with the apocalypse and all that other stuff. And it's not that I don't believe in certain things. It's just that the way that it's been explained to us, I don't vibe with. I believe the apocalypse is already happening. They talk about zombie invasions. The zombie invasions are all of these flesh suits that are walking around who have completely, they're empty vessels because of their choices. Those are the zombies. We're living in the apocalypse. These are the zombies we're dealing with. The ones who have literally released their own complete ownership of their own vessels to darkness. That's the zombie invasion. I don't believe it's going to be like biological warfare that creates zombies, although I'm sure it contributes to it. But we're not told or shown that the warfare is always energetic, and it's always about the trading of souls. This is what this whole matrix has been about. Everything else is a distraction and an illusion. At the root of the energy, it's the trading of the soul, the sun energy within you, which is why this full moon in Leo is so big, because it's putting an end to that. It's putting an end to that. It's the end of an era, not tomorrow's full moon or today's full moon in general, but what we're moving towards as we enter the new moon in Aries. It's like we've crossed a threshold. We've been moving towards the end of the world, and now it's here. And now it's here. And as such, these energies are here, the 3 fates. Like, it was inevitable that a lot of this stuff was going to happen. And as such, now we have so many things rolling out. We are truly about to enter Wheel of Fortune energy, Jupiter energy, which I believe is a very big, there's a lot going on with Jupiter astrologically right now around this moon too, I believe. And funnily enough, that Six of Wands card in the tarot, which represents the degree, the 16-degree mark of Leo is represented by the Six of Wands. The 16-degree mark of Aquarius, where the sun is represented by the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords is about moving out of these energies from the Five of Swords that tried to entrap you and put you in an energetic prison. The Six of Wands is about victory. It's about victory. It's about public victory, but it's a victory that comes from having won a battle, the battle of the Five of Wands, right? And so it's very interesting because that Six of Wands card in the tarot, its planetary energy is Jupiter, right? So there's a lot of Jupiter energy engaging. And again, it comes back to that, what my guides were showing me before, and that was that your gifts of Jupiter. This came out in, I don't think it was the downloads from yesterday. I think it came out earlier this week. Your gifts of Jupiter at last are being released. There have been people stealing your luck, stealing your abundance, stealing the divine treasures that are yours to enjoy while you're here on earth, so that you could just come here and learn and be. That's what you came here to do. You didn't come here to be enslaved by these systems and institutions, and as such they were stealing your gifts and selling them back to you. And that's being returned. That Aquarian energy is to do with technology also. A lot of the technology that exists has been stolen from you and sold back to you. And they've gotten access to get to that technology through your energy field, through traveling interdimensionally. All of that stuff is shutting down. All of it is shutting down now. It's a fated moon, meaning those that have done this shit in the dark, their operations are shutting down, and those beings of light that were always supposed to be the ones who were the guardians of Gaia, who've always been contracted to her, but couldn't walk out their divine truths for as long as she was enslaved, and for as long as they were enslaved too, we were enslaved too. All of that is broken. Fate, fortune, and destiny is coming into alignment with those who actually are walking in divine alignment. And this is the thing, and then I'm going to close. It's 1:17. We hear a lot about, chosen ones, divine beings, beings of light and all of that. But what does it mean at the end of the day? It's not like we can't take that energy forward into the new earth and have it rooted again in ego, right? Like, I'm better than someone else because of this. The purpose of being divine is being in divine alignment in order to look after the things of God, the things of the divine, the earth, the animals, life, one another. That's the point. It's not to, lord it over someone else or act like we're better than anyone else. And this is what we're being helped to do, because there's a lot of ego in the spiritual community that has to be released also. It has to be, because, and I'm not talking about healthy ego, I'm talking about the ego that again is the woundedness from the matrix. I see it a lot. I see a lot of people who call themselves spiritual trying to apply spiritual principles to matrix energy or matrix laws or matrix ways of being. And I'm just like, but this is almost worse. And the Bible speaks about this too. In the book of Revelation, it says either, I think it's like either be hot or cold. Don't be lukewarm. And that means like trying to mix everything and trying to appeal to everyone. Either be completely, dark and own your darkness, or be light and own your light, because at least there's honesty in both, and we know where each energy stands versus people or energies who like to mix. And I'm not talking about coming into balance with your darkness and light. That's important. I'm talking about people who are living in darkness but pretending to share light. Or people who are using the tactics that have enslaved others in order to spread light. How is that even possible? How can you get on YouTube or any platform and try to exploit somebody else's wounds to get them to buy from you and call yourself a light bearer? How does that make sense? Are you here to free people, or are you here to keep them under your thumb for your success? And this is what all of us have to begin to look at in self. Because we created this world. We created this world. We participated in it. Our woundedness participated in it. And if we're to walk and to create a new reality, then the only way we're going to do that is by being radically honest with self and taking full accountability for our creations and our miscreations. Whew, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. I know this reading was a little bit heavy and deep. I hope that it's helpful, though. I hope that ultimately it sheds light where light needs to be shed in order to set you free in areas where you might still be captivated, because we all have those areas. Ain't none of us so healed, sanctified, and anointed that we don't have areas that we need to look at, you know? And in all frankness, I think the more divine you are, quote unquote, the more you are exposing these things in yourself every day, because you cannot pick up on these energies if you're not dealing with them first in self, in realness, right? So anyway, I'm going to love you and leave you guys. Happy full moon in Leo. If you are interested in working with me one-to-one, then please make sure to check out my website, solarah.info. The information is in the description box below. Before you reach out to me about a service, please check out my services and then come and specify what it is that you would like. I don't have a checkout anymore on my services page, because I want to make sure whoever I choose to sign on to work with, that it is, kosher. It's okay for me to do so. There's a lot of energies, so a lot of energy and entity jumping and shape shifting right now. And I see it. And I'm sure you guys see it too. A lot of flesh suits housing other energies, and even coming onto channels like this and trying to move in and try to be unseen. But I want you to know I see you. I see you, and so do all of the other highly intuitive readers whose channels you come on to try and glean information that you can't even use. You can't use this information. This isn't for you. It's beyond your access at this point. It's beyond your access at this point. That's where we are on this ascension path, is that the gifts of the divine are for the divine. And even if you try, you can't use them at this point. So you may as well just keep it moving and go somewhere else. But that needs to be said. It needs to be said. But anyway, yes, so if you're interested in working with me, then please check out my services and get back to me. Yes, I want to thank you all. Thank you for helping me to grow. Thank you for all of your love and your encouragement. I appreciate each and every one of you that is helping me to appreciate and like and value. And I hope that, coming to my channel, that you appreciate in your own light and value and confidence and power too. So yes, I'm going to love you and leave you again. I'll see you soon. Until next time, be well.